somehow tragedy sneaks into all of our lives and sadness sneaks into all our lives. And everyone goes through those sad seasons in their life. And when that does happen, the distractions of chaos can be helpful.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. I have a new best friend with me, and her name is Sharon. And Sharon has a book, and it's all the information about Sharon's in the show notes, but we're going to talk about chaos. And since I have chaos, I assume you have chaos too. And how do we manage that? I know it's impossible to stop it coming at you, but how do you stop it from coming in? So before we get started, let's get a quick word from our sponsor and come back, and we're going to talk about stopping that chaos from coming in. We'll be right back. Hey, since I rarely have openings in my coaching schedule, I have a new resource out there on my website. It is called the BFF Coaching Network. And I have offered a spot there for any coach that has been on the show to list their coaching. You can go out there, you can listen to their episodes, you can feel a little bit about them, and then choose a coach that will work for you. So LaraJaneLayton.com, the BFF Coaching Network. All right, Sharon, I have chaos, and sometimes I feel overwhelmed. How do I stop it from affecting my happiness, my joy?
Live on the verge of chaos. They live on the verge of joy, happiness, sadness, confusion, frustration, bad traffic, and that's just before noon. And so you have chaos in your life. I have chaos in my life. I cannot think of anyone who is raising kids and who doesn't have chaos in their lives. And before you have kids, you're thinking about having kids. You have kids and you go, oh dear, now what happens? And you're worried about third grade. You're worried about kindergarten. You're worried about middle school. And it seems that women take it on and we try to push it away when it really is a natural part of our lives. I don't think there's any way to avoid chaos when you have kids because your schedule, what you want to do, what your hopes and dreams are, they're like under the rug. I mean, they are just under the rug because on your to-do list is for everyone else. And so I think it's helpful and healthy to just acknowledge it, to be aware of it. Like, okay, I mean, getting two kids up and out the door and fed and the dog out the door, back in the house, something to eat, that's chaotic. I can't think. I mean, certainly my children didn't go, oh, thank you, mother. It wasn't like that. They were normal kids. And it's a chaotic time in life. And I think acknowledging that. And some days are going to be more chaotic than others. I think, though, that once you have the awareness that you really have control over certain things, and you have no control over the chickenpox. I remember my son was young and there were chickenpox going around his class. And this is a terrible thing for a mother to do. But I said, oh, please don't let him get this week. I have a report I have to get out this week. Please don't let him get it this week. I cannot do it this week. And it's totally out of my control when he got the chickenpox. He got them the next week, I think, and everything worked out fine. I now understand, and it's easy from my perspective, because my kids are grown out of the house, that what you worry about when your kids are little, some things you should worry about, some things you shouldn't, but you make it through. but it is a chaotic time in your life. It just is. And a way to harness it would be, if you can, to put up some rules for yourself. And I don't think it's really reality to go, well, every Tuesday at 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, I'm going to get a massage and go for a walk. Because somebody might be sick, somebody's going to have baseball practice, someone's going to need something to get homework done. And chaos can flood into your life. Chaos can just flood into your life. It's like you have all these plates spinning, but the chaos will come in. And it's how you deal with the chaos, I think, that makes the difference of your peace of mind.
I like what you're saying about children being chaotic, but as professional women who go to the office every day, we also have new meetings pop up, new deadlines pop up, stuff that we got to deal with. And there's more chaos. And not only is that, then I have my friends and my aging parents and all this other chaos that's coming at me. And somehow I need to learn to say no. How do I say, "Ooh, I can't go to dinner with you guys this week because I need some personal time. I need to," I would say, let the pressure out of the pressure cooker. And it's not easy to do when I'm with people because I may just need to unplug for a while. So, even though we have kids and we're shuffling back and forth to school, and I remember Freedom Day when my kids got the car because I no longer had to be taxi driver because that was one of my hats I always wore. So how do it's always going to come at me, but how do I prioritize and respond to those things that are going to help me instead of the ones that are just going to drag me down more?
I think it's interesting that we acknowledge and have a great awareness of the different personalities of dogs. Like, I love dogs. I love them. I've always had dogs. My friends have dogs, love dogs. One friend had a Jack Russell Terrier. Oh,
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh, but
goodness.
they're high energy.
That dog was not still for 10 seconds. And that is a personality that is, in my view, you're inviting chaos. However, the chaos of that dog is also loving, also companionship, also, fun. But you don't want that. I wouldn't want that every single day. And so, but they chose to get that terrier. And I think we are more understanding of dogs' different personalities than we are of human nature. And there's some people who invite chaos in their life. They're on the tennis team, they're in the book club, they volunteer for the PTA. They are absolutely everywhere. And they do a lot of wonderful work and they enjoy it. But there are other people who need downtime. I happen to be one of those people that I get my energy from quiet, or some people, like a Jack Russell, gets their energy from excitement, from interacting. So if you find yourself drowning in chaos and about to lose it, I think you should first think, okay, this is normal. This is a normal state of affair, and it's not always going to be this way. It's not. But it would be helpful to take an examination of your life at this point, and just, you only have to do it for 3 months, just for 3 months. What can I cut out that adds to the chaos in my life? For example, with my 2 kids, we had a rule. You could only play one sport at a time. That was it. I mean, you were not going to play 2 sports because there are other things that are involved. But for your own self, what you have control of, maybe you don't need to attend this, or maybe you don't need to sign up for that. And give yourself a break of commitment to other people or to others' needs for 3 months. Now, when it comes to family, when it comes to events, I'm not saying don't attend. I'm not saying don't hang out with your friends, but I'm saying you need to evaluate what you could do to reduce the chaos in your life. For example, you hate your bathroom. It has the old pink tile in there. Is this a good time to do a bathroom renovation? No, it is not. You just need, in my opinion, to just live with it for 3 months. Re-examine it, because if you added that layer of chaos into your life, you would only have yourself to blame. If you choose to do, I'm going to sign up to be the brownie leader, even though I did it before and someone else wants to do it, maybe take a step back. Things that you do have control of, examine them and decide, literally ask yourself, does this add to the chaos in my life? There was a time in my life that my kids were little. I had a business at home, and the business was seasonal. And I'm an entrepreneur at heart, thinking of new things. I get ideas and want to act on them. And I made a deal with myself when the season was over that I would not do anything that added chaos to my life for 1 year. And I literally had these ideas. I'm going to do this or do that. And I said, Sharon, is this going to add to the chaos in your life? And if the answer was yes, I did not do it. And it was a really, really helpful exercise in knowing myself that, I want to do it, but knowing the chaos and being in control of that level of chaos in my life.
I really liked what you talked about on timing. Asking, is it going to be chaos? Is this going to bring me chaos or not? And, you talked about, maybe it's spring break and I want to redo the bathroom, but the kids are home and I'll be minus a bathroom. And right now it just doesn't work. But when they're back in school, it's going to be great. One of them's off to college. Just one less person that I have to have a bathroom for. So now I can add it. And so really evaluating, is a good timing right now is an amazing idea. And I don't think I've ever really thought of it that way. I know I put things off thinking it will do better later, but I've never thought, how is this going to affect my chaos level within my life? Because things are going to come at me. And if I'm down a bathroom and the kids have all their friends over, and that will not be good to my mental health.
Exactly. One of the reasons I wrote The Adjustable Lives of Women was to talk with women, because the main character is like you. It's like you. And she's a radio talk show host. And she's compassionate like you are. And she wants to help women like you do. And in the book, it is fiction. However, I interviewed real women who were dealing with real sadness and grief. And I interviewed a woman whose husband was really suffering from PTSD. And I interviewed 2 women who were dealing with the worst kind of grief, the death of their children. And so sometimes in life, when it is chaos that we cannot do anything about, it's just normal chaos, sometimes it's helpful to step back and go, thank goodness for my children. Thank goodness I have a car. Lots of times I go, thank goodness for hot water. I love taking a shower. Thank goodness. And it's really thinking about that. Of course, some days you can't. You just got to get out the door and the work done and all of that. But somehow tragedy sneaks into all of our lives, and sadness sneaks into all our lives. And when that sadly happens, the chaos doesn't seem as important, because the sadness is there with the chaos and it puts it in perspective. And everyone goes through those sad seasons in their life. And when that does happen, the distractions of chaos can be helpful. It really can. It can be like your mind is racing. And if you have the ability, and one of the tools I find that helps with that ability is breathing, to bring you to present. Your mind is racing and you go, well, I'm going to the grocery store. I'm going to the grocery store. And that's all I'm doing right now. Or if you're at work and you know you have to pick up at carpool, you have to get somebody to baseball, you have to make the cupcakes, you have to do this, that it's really hard. But to embrace the normal is really a blessing. If you can get to a place, and you can't do this every day, and you can't do this every moment, but to embrace the normal, that is very helpful in putting the chaos in perspective.
I really liked when you were talking about kind of that gratitude, because when you're chaotic, when you feel chaotic, you're looking at loss. I don't have time. I don't have the energy. I don't have. And it's not chaotic if you have it, right? It's that lack that you're feeling that all of a sudden is like, I cannot deal with this. But when we can sit back and start looking at the things that we do have, that we do appreciate. I love my significant other. I love having my children. I have a working car. I remember years and years and years of the stressful driving of thinking it was going to break down, when you're young and dumb and poor. But you raise up above that and you get past it. And so when you go, I have transportation. I live in an area that my kids get to go to a good school. I live in an area that they have good friends. When you start looking at the haves instead of the have-nots, it takes away some of the chaos and gives meaning to the others. Like, this commute is okay because I live in a good neighborhood and my kids are happy. This is good because, and it gives meaning to the chaos instead of this frantering and craziness. So it's just so important to be grateful. And I love that does this add chaos? Because now I can say yes or no to things. Because if it's not, and I know we talked about it before, but I just keep thinking about it. It's like, I would love to go to that movie with you, but I have these 5 things that are weighing on my mind, and I would like to take care of them first, where I can choose to say no in a grateful way, as I would love to spend time with you. I have some priorities I need to take care of that are, the things are stressing and weighing on you. Get rid of those. I don't care if it's a 5-minute task or a 3-hour task. If it's causing that stress, get it off your plate because you're going to feel better.
Exactly. And there are a lot of tools that people can use to reduce the feeling of stress. You can fool your central nervous system, because your central nervous system, I don't know if you've ever been around someone who is really hyper and talks very, very, very fast and is so and is all negative. And this central nervous system is kind of contagious. And so something that's helpful is to be with people who are kind of calm and who support you on your choices. The breathing exercises can.
Which one's your favorite?
Which breathing? When you inhale through your nose, pushing your stomach out, feeling your lungs, inhale, hold the breath for 4, 3, 2, 1, exhale, and for as long as you can. And you do that 3 times, and your central nervous system shifts. It's the physiology of the body.
So you're doing a triangle type breath.
Yes.
Breathe in, hold, breathe out, breathe in, hold, breathe out. Okay.
And the good thing about that is we always have our breath with us. And you don't have to go to a gym for it. And it really does work. You can do it. I've done that in meetings before when everybody in the room is stressed out. And it really does help relax your body, feed your soul, and relax your brain. And obviously, you can think better, you can listen better, and hopefully reduce the chaos around you. When I'm 71, and what I have found at this age is the opposite of young kids and teenagers at home, is that there's something called, that I made up this word, it's called emotional downsizing. And what emotional downsizing is, it is saying no to things that you do not want to do. And again, I get back to how everyone is different. There are some people who love to be active, who love to be in this club and that club, play tennis, do this, do that. And there are people who don't. And to have the awareness that you don't need all of that, that your good night is reading a book in the bathtub, that kind of thing. And it's emotional downsizing. It's you say no, and you don't even have to tell anybody no. You don't have to tell anybody why. When you say no, oh, thank you, I appreciate that, but I'm not coming. I can't attend. And it's just a different time of life, because I need to take that time and use it wisely, because at this time in our life, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, no one knows what's going to happen, even if they're 30, 40, 50, no one knows. But especially as we age, emotional downsizing is really important, because it frees up your mind and your soul to fill it with what you want, And I think that reduces chaos. And I think that encourages happiness.
You know, we were talking earlier and a little bit about this, and it's like, if I'm speaking to a big group, it stresses me out. Like when I am done, I am done. Like I cannot handle it. But I can sit in a room with 6, 12 people and totally enjoy speaking with them and having a conversation. And I have no idea the difference, but my life today is, I'm not doing the big meetings. I choose out of it because I don't come home happy. I don't come home fulfilled. But when I'm with a small group, I come home like energized and so excited, and things just fit. And so everyone's different. Some people are going to flop that right around. It's whatever makes you feel energized, do. And if it's going to drain you, figure out. If you got to do it and it's going to drain you, you figure out how to feed yourself and make sure you've filled your cup before going, and that you're filling it up again right after, because you're important. And loving life is so amazing that we just need to create the life we want. I really think that as we learn to manage our own personal inputs and we put up that wall to help filter, and use your question, is this adding chaos? Is this something I can handle right now? If not, could I do it next week? But once you've identified your priorities in life, it's a lot easier to manage the chaos, because maybe it's not a priority. Maybe it is a neighborhood potluck and everybody in the neighborhood's going, but you have a family event. Which one's your priority? You don't have to let that constant pulled in multiple directions.
Right.
Make you stop. You can let it feed you.
My son, he was a good athlete. And so when he played Little League, way they do it here is they have a season, and then there is summer ball and you get picked, if you're good, to go travel in the summer. And I remember I gave his coach, these are little kids, these are like 9, 10 years old. And I gave his coach a note that said, John will be there, everything you need for him to, but he won't be there this date, because these are family events. And he's finished when school is finished. Because I thought, he's going to camp. We're not waiting in this summer. So it was a decision that I made that, okay, he loves playing baseball, have fun, but I'm going to put a boundary around it, a time frame around it. And that's an example of something that worked for me, just saying no. This what works for our family.
I love that. If you're proactive and these things are coming up, it's so much easier if someone handed me a list. You can count on me these days, but not these days. I remember getting a brand new job and I had vacations scheduled. And I'm like, I will not take this job if I cannot do these things. And for that year, I was hired on with extra vacation days because I had commitments. And it went back to normal but it's like if you're upfront instead of stressing over it is so much easier.
You advocated for yourself. And I agree with you when you're clear about it and this is how it's going to be. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's a good thing to let people know what you're willing to do or not do. It's helpful, I think, to everyone. I am lucky in that I don't depend on other people's opinion to define me. I define myself. And I don't know why, but I've always been that way. And so if someone didn't like John not being available when school's out, that was okay with me. That was fine with me. If someone didn't like a decision where, because I've always volunteered at different places, and that's really important. That's a high priority on my list. And sometimes with the school, I have volunteered at school, but I have also said, what can I do to help the school by myself that I can show up on this day, as opposed to being in meetings for 6 months. And I really admire a lot of women who show up to all these meetings and who get the work done. I really do. But there are different ways in different times of your life. That's the thing. And this is really important. No one knows what is going on in someone else's life. And if someone says no, or at times I have said, no, I'm sorry, but I cannot do that right now. There was something going on in my life that I needed to say no. And I hope that other people will give grace when they hear someone say no, just to think, well, I hope we'll catch you next time, or that kind of thing.
I really, really like this whole conversation about managing all these external things, because that's really what chaos is, right? A little bit of our internal, making sure we prioritize, making sure we really question, is this going to help me right now? And then, tell me a little bit, let's tell our friend a little bit about you and your book. And then what can I try this week to really make it, to see if it makes a difference in my life? It may have helped me, it may have helped you, but our friend maybe not. So what can they try?
Well, the book is The Adjustable Lives of Women, and it is about how women adjust to the changes, chaos, challenges, and sadness in their lives. That's what it's really about. And adjusting to different things sometimes requires courage, sometimes requires hope. And there are different kinds of hope. You can have hope to find understanding. You can hope for healing. You can hope that you find hope over the horizon, to find some light. So there are different kinds of hope. I think what we all struggle with are the voices in our head that are negative. And I don't know if it's just me, but as I age, those voices get louder and louder, and they're like fighting for space inside my head. It's like, what? What? Like if I get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, it's like before I get there, they're like negative, and I'm like, whoa. So what I try to do, and it doesn't work all the time, but I try to have an awareness that I am not my thoughts. I am not my thoughts. And that phrase comes from a wonderful book called The Power of Now. But it's so easy to get on a roller coaster ride or a sled going downhill of inner thoughts. So when all the negative thoughts are fighting for room in my head, or the sadness or frustration or anxiety fight for room in my head, I have these phrases that I say. First I go, hi, hey, anxiety, you're back. And I'll say something like, delete. I will literally say to myself, delete. Or I'll just say, I'm floating you down the river and you are just falling off the edge. And so it's easier said than done. First, you have to realize you are not your thoughts. And then you have to delete them yourself, because we are in charge of our own minds. And it could be a hostile takeover of negative thinking. And the awareness, and that's for everybody. That is just everybody. And I do not know why the negative kind of take over the positive. And it is really a fight to do the positive thinking sometimes. So I'll just say, hey, glad you're back, frustration, but not today, delete. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's one concrete thing that I do. I also I taught exercise for 15 years. So I'm a huge the one of the best things I do every week is I walk with my sisters and my cousin. And we just solve all the world's problems. We laugh and we just have the best time. And to get out in nature and walk, I think it's the healthiest thing anybody can do. And that is a shift. So to shift the negative, to shift the chaos, it takes action. It really does take action. And action can be in the moment, the breathing. It could be a walk in nature. And my favorite thing is, especially in the car, is to crank up Aretha Franklin and just to crank her up, and to crank up Prince, and to crank up any music you like, Bruno Mars, because music is very, very powerful. And we get inundated all the time by negativity. And music really speaks to your soul, and it really can shift your mood. It really can. I have been very, very guilty of dancing in my kitchen with my husband, and we can do that, and it's fun, and so you don't need to be at some fancy party to dance. You can dance pretty much wherever you feel like dancing. But music, change your channels. Put on some music that makes you happy.
I love it. I do love music. When, I have lots of playlists. I have the calm down playlist. I have the wake up playlist. I have the give me courage playlist. And,
Yes.
having all this, they speak to you, but the same music doesn't work for everything. So know what makes you smile, know what makes you calm, and then put it together so you can use it anytime. So I love that music. Celebrate.
That's a great idea to have a music for what you need. I love that idea. I love that.
If you plan ahead,
Mhm.
you got it.
Yeah.
If you're stretching out, like we went on a road trip once and I'm trying to find music my husband liked. He goes, "What are you doing?" Like, because we like different music. I know
Yes.
that's weird. But I'm trying to find a playlist that you're going to like. So plan ahead. It's a lot easier.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But
Oh,
those are some suggestions. Those are some suggestions.
Sharon, thank you so much for joining me today and chatting with our friend. It's been enlightening and fun, not just one or the other. It's just a great information. So thank you for sharing your knowledge, the stuff you've gone through, and how you were able to make it to the other side. So the information about you is in the show notes so someone can get a hold of you and your book. So, sorry, I had a little throat bubble.
Laura Jane, thank you so much for having me. And your energy is so contagious and it's such a positive energy. And I love the way that you support women and you help women. And I just really appreciate you having me on the show. Thank you.
Oh, you are welcome. I love it. Let's give a hand up instead of pushing people around. How can we
Yes.
help you make it on your path? So, friend Sharon and I are not medical or mental licensed professionals. We are here for entertainment. People that have found bumps in our road, figure a way around them, and want to share with you before they show up in your life. So, thank you for joining and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Laura Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.